Hello everyone and welcome back to A City Planner Plays City Builders. My name is Philip and today we are again working on the city of Bluffside Crossing. If you'll recall, we last left off building the airport, a tourism district, and an IT district, and a leisure district as well. And now we need to build some transit infrastructure to link this part of the city up to the rest of the community. But before we get there, I think that there's some housekeeping that we need to take care of. If you look, our city vitals aren't looking all that good right now. We need electricity, we need sewage treatment, we need garbage treatment, and I'm noticing that there's already some deaths piling up in our tourism district, which doesn't make for the most attractive tourism district. So let's take care of that. I know this is something that I haven't really focused on much at all in the past little while, and you can see really downtown is the last place that I placed anything related to death care. So let's do that right now. I'm going to place one in our suburban part of the downtown area. And I do think I'm going to place one near our IT cluster. I want to be careful. I don't want to have to move this in the future. I don't love placing it here, but it's necessary, so I will put it there. We could probably use more, but this will have to do for now. Let's see. So we have that taken care of. We're having rolling brownouts at this point. So let's see. I kind of want to see. Oh, interesting. Okay, our last power plant was on this side of town. I'm thinking that we want to put something closer to this newer industrial area. Be careful, I don't want to block my grid. I could always move it later, but it'd be nice to keep it consistent. And now our next problem is our garbage processing. And even with this waste processing complex, we're seeing issues. Now, let's see. It's not working correctly. Something is wrong. And I think I know what's wrong. I'm not sure that I ever placed, let's see, no trucks in use. Well, let's try to fix this. So I'm not exactly sure what the game doesn't like right now, but there's something. So let's see. Lower this road to clean it up a little bit. Should have grabbed the node next to it. That's okay. I don't think water's the problem, but I'm gonna add water just in case. The only other thing I could think of is that okay, that's the problem. I never built any waste transfer facilities. So I think I need to build a couple of these. So the idea behind these is that you can build these closer to the city center They'll pick up the trash and take it to the waste complex, and hopefully reduce traffic and pollution in the process. I haven't really used these before, but I am certainly excited to try. Let's see. As I struggle to figure out where I'm going to plop it. I don't want to eliminate those commercial buildings on the corner, I don't think. So let's see how this works. And ideally, I think that this would allow us to eliminate a few of the dirtier buildings that we have. I might try to sneak this in somewhere around here as well. Maybe within or near our newly constructed forestry district. Okay, so now we got some garbage trucks in use there. So we'll just have to watch this. Garbage processing status still not good. Let's sim a bit faster. So the focus of this episode is going to be mass transit. This is something that I know that in the comments I've heard a lot about, and I'm excited to work on it. Interestingly, this city is fairly compact, and the geography of the city has kind of forced that upon us. So we have our downtown area around this, fairly compact park. There's not a lot of room to expand the downtown short of building up, which I like. And it really begs for transit. Now, when you think about transit, there are I would think about the different hierarchies of transit. So bus being the lowest, serving local trips, although it's flexible, so you could contemplate, an express route or a commuter route. Moving up from there, you have Tram, which operates in much the same way, but with a little bit more efficiency because you're running on a fixed guideway. You can prioritize the movements by your signals or stop signs. Moving up from there, kind of at equal levels, are train and subway. Subway being a little bit more local than a train. You would want to separate the stops more than you would a tram stop or a bus stop, but not as much as a train stop, where you're really looking at regional stops. You want some pretty significant distances. So in all practicality, for a bus stop, you might want to have one every other block, or every 3 blocks, or even every 4 blocks. For a subway, you might go twice that. For a train, twice that. So, that said, in the real world, when I've worked on transit, you'd say that there's generally a 1/8 mile to a 1/4 mile buffer that someone is willing to walk, a radius around every bus stop that they're willing to walk for local bus service. And as the service quality improves, people are willing to walk further. So if it's a subway stop, maybe someone's willing to walk a 1/2 mile to get to it, because the service is that much more reliable and that much higher capacity and that much more comfortable, and that much nicer. So those are all things to consider. I think that you see some of that in the game as well. And you certainly see it with the default buses that are available. The capacity of the vehicles is significantly smaller. Now, I have downloaded some mods that increase the capacity of the buses. I've downloaded some articulated buses, and you can already see that we really have 2 options with some of these routes. We could throw additional buses on, or we could change the bus. And for me, I would much rather throw out an articulated bus and rather than having a 30-seat capacity, increase that to 60. So that's what I'm going to do for now for the existing bus lines that are over capacity. But I do think it would be nice to mix up our transit mix. And part of that is, we can have some commuter buses taking people from these far-flung areas and bringing them to downtown, if that's where they needed to go, indeed. But having a tram with limited stops, I think, might be a more premium sort of trip, a little bit quicker. We could separate it from the road, minimize the stops, and have a service that's better utilized. And you can already see that there are some transportation problems here with our roundabout. So we could either, improve this roundabout, adding slip lanes, or probably the better solution, adding another way out of this neighborhood. This is one gigantic cul-de-sac right now, basically, because there's no other way to get out. So I would think adding some sort of connection across the river in another area would be incredibly beneficial here, or two even, and loosening up this load. But why don't we take a look at our traffic routes? I think that right now that would be helpful and really illuminate where people are trying to get. So you can see a really heavy traffic flow going down this bridge, going everywhere from here. Interestingly, I would have thought there would be more going to the highway. I was thinking that it might make sense to cross the river here and have a road that meets up with this highway, but it looks like not all that much traffic's going that way. In fact, a lot of traffic is coming to this district from the left and the right of the roundabout. So let's see. Everything is coming from the downtown area. So this is really validating what I was thinking about having another crossing across the river. You're seeing a lot of demand to drive through this neighborhood. And there are a couple ways that we could accomplish getting across the river here. Wow, yeah, they're all heading to these residential areas. So I'm thinking that it might be nice to have a 2-lane highway just going along the riverbank and crossing up here. Let's look at the terrain. I think it's pretty steep. Yeah, there's not much developable land here. I mean, there's some, but I don't know that we really need to focus on this area. We kind of have already terraformed our way into a nice little embankment here, and finding a way to get people over here would be very helpful, and then free up some of our roadway capacity for transit vehicles. So I think first I'm going to make this crossing, and then second I'm going to build a tram line. The goals would be to have a stop near our intercity bus station, something that, whether it's a bus stop that connects directly to our Dale Street train station, and then getting us to our harbor, our tourism and IT district, and then our airport. So, all right, let's start out with our highway connection. All right. I want to try to cross at the shortest possible angle if I can, which is why I have that weird turn in there. All right, now I'm just going to kind of follow the landscape without needing bridges. if at all possible. And then I'm going to do my favorite. I'm going to install a roundabout. But I am going to try to join this up in a way that seems to be, well, actually that's not too bad. Okay. So we'll do a smaller roundabout here. I do think I want that to be a little bit more attractive. Let's see what we have in terms of let's do a nice little ring of trees in the center there. Something a little more significant in the center. So one thing that we always try to do with roundabouts is obstruct your ability to see through them. This leads to a safer roundabout. It leads you to slow down because you can't see what's happening. Wow, that is a lot of people walking from the airport. That is insane. Well, that leads me to think of one other thing before we move on to trolleys and trams. We have no taxi service. So why not begin one? So I'm going to do two things here. Make that connection. Put that there. And I want to decorate just a little bit near the airport. Sorry, I know that I'm all over the place today. There's just so many opportunities. It seems a shame to let them go to waste. Just see things that I wish I would have done last time that I'm right here now, so just add a couple quick things in here. Okay, so I've added a taxi stand and a taxi depot, and you know, maybe that'll offset some of this craziness that we're seeing with plumes of people walking down the hill. Wow, that is a lot of people. All right, so let's think about how we would actually make a trolley work here, if we can. It's going to be a challenge. Well, first we need to find a place to put our depot. And actually, would be kind of nice to get it somewhere along our line, rather than having them need to do a bunch of backpedaling to get wherever they're going to go. So since we already have a bunch of transportation infrastructure right here, I'm thinking that this might be an appropriate place. We might need to do some terraforming, but then again, there might be a lot of work to do here to make this work. Let's see. Yeah, so we've got to do a little bit of terraforming to make this work. Whoops. Oh, yeah. Now that I see what the contours actually look like, I understand why it wasn't working. So let's kind of carve into the hillside a little bit and find a home for... I either want this to fit perfectly right there in the end, or I want it to leave enough space to have full density next to... Yeah, for some reason, just not liking that. That's okay. Put that right here. I will... Well, actually, I'll just... eyedropper that road in. And now we've got some work to do. We got to get these trams where they need to go. And for some reason, it doesn't like my roundabout. All right. Well, never a dull moment. Oh, whoops. My fault. There we go. Okay. So that leads us to naturally have our first stop be here. We're going to probably have two lines, one that loops downtown and another that heads towards our tourism district. Now, one thing that I might try to do would be to find a way down the hill where I'm not center running this. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, let's focus on getting this set up downtown. Now, one thing I know I absolutely do not want to do is go through another roundabout. So I'm probably going to run this tram behind the main street downtown. Which, in the comments, if you have any good names for any of these roads, particularly the main street in downtown or this big loop road that's really ringing the entire city at this point. Wow, now this road literally rings the entire city. If you have a good name for that road, let me know in the comments and I will rename it. So I think I'm going to have this loop back around, stops on either side. And I'll add stoplights right here so that they can make that left-hand turn. Okay. So why don't I just get this laid out right off the bat? Now, one thing I'm going to avoid, and I'll be upfront about this right off the bat, I do not want I do not want the stops to be at the same place as a bus stop, and I want them to be about twice as far apart. I want this to be a more attractive option than a bus for a longer distance trip. But people are willing to walk a little ways to get to get to stops. So I'm going to take advantage of that. Okay, so I'm just placing stops at roughly the same location across from one another, so it's predictable. That's another important feature of transit, is making sure that it is predictable. And now I have this looping at that roundabout. Now I don't know whether that is going to be a viable long-term solution. In fact, I might actually throw in a stub down here just for this route to make a loop. I could do something like this. This might be big enough. Let's see. And then let's see another. Let's make that a little bit longer. So that could be the location where our tram line actually starts. Let's see, it doesn't like it. Maybe if I move the stops. Yes, that'll do it. So I'll put the stops over there. I'd love to keep it out of this roundabout. There's already some significant traffic problems here. We're going to have to remedy this. Clearly, this did not work as I had hoped. Now, part of that is this is kind of an ugly roundabout. Slip lanes could really do a lot of benefit here. Also, do we have... Oh, that's the problem. We have bidirectional lanes. Whoops. That is not going to make your roundabout function very well. Oh, look at that. Already moving again. So I wouldn't say that this is the highest quality roundabout because it is missing those slip lanes. Could add some quickly. So a slip lane will basically allow a bit of relief in between for certain roadway movements. But I've got to do a lot of work to make this work right. So, truthfully, now that I'm looking at this, I might just go ahead and hold off on this until another episode, because this could take me a while to get this right. So for the time being, why don't I just get this back to functional-ish? So this is certainly broken. It'll clear up over time. There are other issues with this area. We have at-grade crossings. That's not helping anything, and this is the only way to get down to that area. So there's really a lot of work that we need to do in this area, and we're making it worse by having our tram right through here. but that's okay. I think it's a kind of a necessary issue. Now I'm trying to think of a good way to get this tram line to potentially come down here. And I haven't sandboxed this idea at all, but I think I might give it a shot. We'll see how ugly it gets. First of all, let's get anarchy off so we can have some realism. So this is going to be a challenge. I'm going to try to get down the hill some way over here. Now I tried something very similar with the roads in the past, and it was darn near impossible. And I think I'm going to experience the exact same problem trying to get a tram down the side of this hill. Nice thought, not going to happen. So this is part of the problem of zoning in such a suburban way. I'd love to have a smooth tram line, but I'd have to change the roadway network fundamentally to make that happen. So I was hoping to come down here because then I could meet up and naturally do something. But this is also the steepest part, the highest grade change. So I'm thinking that it's looking less and less likely that I'm going to be able to actually accomplish getting this tram line over the way I had hoped. So, option 2. We will just get creative. Okay, so we are able to cross here. Now what I'm thinking is that I will meet up with slope issues again. I could certainly take the easy way out, which would be to meet up with this road right here and just convert that road. I'm going to anarchy it. Okay. I could meet up with this road, convert this into a collector with a tram line. I think that's a little too easy. I also think that it's fairly inefficient. So what I'm thinking is rather than doing that, it might make some sense to actually cross the road and add a stoplight there, and we'll parallel this entire road to get up there without having any stops. And then when we do have stops in the future, they'll all be local stops, so we can add stop signs along any roadway connections. Mentioning lights made me remember we're supposed to add a light up here to facilitate this left-hand turn. So I'm going to add that. So sorry, that little scatterbrain there. Forgot to add that. Kind of let's check in and see how it's going. So we're getting some riders. Certainly not as good as our bus, but we're getting some. Okay. So now I want to try my best to parallel this road right here. I'll probably cheat a little bit right here. Okay, and now I can head up straight for quite some ways, I believe. And now from here I can kind of freestyle a bit. In fact, I might have to freestyle a bit. Once I get past this roundabout, I'm not overly concerned. In fact, if I were to remedy this issue right here with the train crossing the roads, I could potentially have my new line meet up right here and have a little bit of a trolley transfer center. So I think I'm going to pause it, do a little bit of modification to this train line. We'll grade separate, and we will facilitate this new transfer center. So let's make this happen. All right. So let's get this across the road. 1, 2. Let me get anarchy off here. I don't want to take out the road. Yeah, I'm going to need to slope that up a little bit more. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, so now that I have these connecting up, do a little bit more of these. Okay, very smooth. Pleased with that. Let's get back to business. And actually, there is no point to having a road right here. So why don't we only have tracks? Let me convert this. Okay. That is the beauty of anarchy. I mentioned the freestyling. Here is where it comes into play. Or I wanted it to, and it won't. actually, this roundabout would be a really natural place to connect or end this new future neighborhood, except that it's not going to work. Okay. Let's just, for the time being, work with the landscape. Just not fight it anymore, because that's what I'm doing. If I'm going to lose to the landscape every time. So this is certainly, this map is a challenge because of the terrain, and making things work here. Boy, it can be tough. So I'm thinking, now I mentioned the roundabout. Maybe there's where I'll start it. The neighborhood in the rear anyway, and I will convert this all over to track. We don't need to develop every square inch of everything. I'm okay not doing so. Quite okay with that. So let's make sure our power lines are connected, because I know that I broke a number of them getting this hooked up. All right, so we are officially across the river. And now that I'm thinking about this, I've allowed cars to cross here. I don't want that. I want this to be dedicated strictly to transit. So I'm going to eliminate this as an alternative for any of those non-transit trips. So I really like the look of the roads back here. So rather than converting what we have, I'm going to add another parallel road behind these. That is ugly. Let's see where I went wrong. I think I'm seeing it now. Okay. That can be the struggle, trying to remember exactly what you did to make your grid, if you have one. And I can see that I kind of deviated in this general area and started to follow the terrain. Okay. And here our grid kind of breaks down, which is fine. We had a decorative stone road here, so I'm going to mirror that again. Coming in here, have that bend there. And then I might actually convert some of this roadway here. First of all, add a connection across if I can. And then convert some of this decorative road to have the turnaround for the trolley. So it's not exactly perfect to get, it's not exactly in front of the harbor, but it's pretty darn close. And then what I'm thinking is, first of all, let's eliminate these power lines that we use to get things up and running. And I think that it might be nice to have some mid-rise residential back here to taper down to what will eventually be some low-rise residential in the back. So I'm going to put some height restrictions on these districts. I'm going to expand them out into this area. And because I am zoning everything residential, they will develop as residential buildings. And they'll be mid-rise, so that'll be nice. Or at least I think it will be. One thing that we haven't addressed now is the airport. So this will be another challenge for us. So we need to find a turnaround, and I don't want the whole road here to turn into that turnaround. So got a couple options here. None of them all that attractive. I could either try to come up the back side of the hill and have it loop right here. I could come and convert this into the trolley line and have a turnaround up here, or I could try to come around the back side, and I don't know how I would make that happen. So I think the most logical solution would be to have some sort of turnaround right up here, if I can swing it. I'd love for this step to work, but it's just not going to. Yeah, that's very, very, very steep. Another idea. Come around the back side. Come around the back side of these buildings and kind of use this as my turnaround. Okay, this is gonna work. I was worried. I shouldn't have been. Okay, let's get this circulating the right way. I can use a little bit of anarchy here. We'll refill in these zones. And then we will throw a two-way trolley up the hill. I'm eliminating all these trees, which I really liked, so I might come back in another episode and fill those in. And I don't want to go through this roundabout. I don't want to break its functionality. And I need a connection to this anyway. Let me see. Just temporarily. Actually, I'll just eyedrop it. Like to get a nice smooth turn up there. Eyedrop it again. There we go. It's kind of a slip lane for the trolley. Okay. little bit more work to clean this up. Then we've got to lay down our stops, and then we're good here. We also need to set our district policy. That's something that we have not done yet. Make sure that our districts reach all the way out to the impacted lands. This does go a little ways back. We'll expand this out. Now it's funny, our two districts here are now touching. We could have just made it one. There is no difference between Robin Square and Forest Heights. Okay. So let's do high-tech housing. This is a high-tech area. And a high-rise ban. There we go. Now I'm going to start the simulation again and lay down these stops. I'm going to space these really far apart. And I mean really, really far. So think one here, one here, and maybe one here. Probably should have added one here actually, just so that there's a place to transfer. And we're back. Now this is going to be a high capacity route, if there ever was one. And the next one, I want to be very similar. Very few stops. But it will stop at the same location. There's going to be a lot of stopping here. Ooh. Now that I think about it, I put that last stop in the wrong location. So I will need to remedy that. The reason I say that is I'm forcing all of the looping to occur in the big roundabout that we already have problems with. I'm also seeing that I did not add water pipes to these new roads, so I will need to take care of that. Let's loop them, make the utility guys happy. So this will probably be the last thing I work on. Whoa! Transit nightmare. We are doing the exact wrong thing to improve traffic flow, if that is our game plan, which it most certainly is. Let's make their second one red, their third one blue. So I want to impact the red line. Perfect. And move this stop back here. Let's make sure it's opposite. Yes, it's opposite the blue line. And now these red trolleys will never need to cross over. I'm really starting to regret the location that I put this in, and I think it's probably going to have to move probably in the next episode. Way too much happening here. We've got a terrible mix of transit and freight and pedestrians. So that'll probably be what we work on in this next episode, because we want to make sure that this is flowing. Maybe this would have been a better spot to get these vehicles moving. We'll have to explore that in our next episode. So Thanks again for joining me as I continue to build out Bluffside Crossing. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please consider dropping a like down on the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell if you want to know every time I release a new video. Things are really starting to hop in this town, and I think that things are going to be even better in the future. We do have some problems to resolve, not enough customers, which shows that we have problems getting tourists into town. As you can see, no passengers at this cargo, or at this harbor over here. So that's something that we need to remedy. This is why we play the game, to fix problems. I think we're probably, nobody's coming into the airport either. So this might be problems with the map itself. I doubt it though, considering I think this map is well reviewed, but I'll take a look at that. Let's see if there's any passengers on this airplane, just out of curiosity. Okay, yeah, there's people coming in. So we'll need to take a look at that, see what's going on, and find a way to fix it. Again, our traffic flow is plummeting. Oh, and maybe improving. Things to take a look at. We're not really seeing many passengers in some of our modes, but I think this is going to go up over time. Yeah, taking a look. Only a few on our ferry. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. And I hope you have a good one. Thanks for joining.